So today we're going to be talking about a really important property in CSS, which is CSS Grid. Grid is a layout system in CSS that helps you design a web page in a flexible and organized way. Imagine it like a digital graph paper for your website. Here's an idea for it. Think of the web page as it's divided into a grid of rows and columns. It's like a table or a spreadsheet. You can decide how many rows or columns you want and how wide or tall each one should be. You can take any piece of content like images, text box, or buttons and place it exactly where you want it on the grid, whether it spans from one cell or several. It's like putting sticky notes on a specific square of grid. It's really easy to use. As you can see right here, this is a perfect example of using grid on its finest. One of the best parts of the CSS Grid actually is that it automatically adjusts to different screen sizes. For example, a three-column layout on a desktop can become a single column layout on a phone, making the design look neat everywhere. And how it works on a basic level is that you create a grid with a CSS code, as you can see in this website right here. This is one of the best websites ever, W3 Schools. You really should use it if you're starting to learn, teach, or just code for fun. It has everything on every single coding language. Everything you might face as a problem, you can see it right here. You can find the answers, how to code it, and examples right here, which is great. So you create a grid with a CSS code, not HTML, but a CSS code, by telling it how many rows or columns you want. So here you can see there's 3 rows with 3 columns, so 3 by 3. And you tell each item where you want it to go on the grid. Like, place this image on the first column on row 3 right here. Place this important image on column 1 row 1 right here. It's really easy and powerful. It's really powerful because it lets you design complex layouts easily and ensures they look good on any screen. So if you're building a website and you want more control over your layout, CSS Grid is like a layout toolkit. There's a lot of cool toolkits, and for example, W3 Schools is a toolkit. The CSS Grid is a toolkit. It's all tools inside a toolkit, which is coding. It's really great. It's a great way to think about it. And it makes arranging things simple and visualizing things very simple, and it's visually pleasing. So you might ask me, or let's look on some examples before heading over to the next point. So you see here there's different types of examples. Here's different types of explanations. So here you have rows which go diagonally. You have columns which goes vertically, and you have rows which goes diagonally, and together they create the layout. So here's different examples of the code you could use. You can pause it, write it, or you could go into W3 Schools yourself and look it up. Really easy. And here are different properties you could use. See, gap. And once you reach this level of CSS, I have to tell you that you cannot use margin anymore. You are obligated to use gap, because at this point you're way past margin. You have to start using gap now. You're grown up. You're not a baby anymore. So now let's head over to our next point. So you might ask me, what's the difference between grid and flex? And it's a really great question, because CSS Grid and Flexbox are both layout tools inside your toolkit, but they have different strengths and work best for different types of layouts. So let's take a comparison to help. So one of the differences is that CSS Grid is for 2-dimensional layouts. Alright? And which is ideal for creating both rows and columns simultaneously, making it perfect for complex web pages. Like, let's say Amazon or W3 schools here. Amazing. It's amazing, right? So here you have, they use grid. They don't use or they could use CSS. Here they used grid right here. See right here, they have their rows and they have their columns. See, it's used a whole lot. It's really used, and grid and CSS are both supported by every single newly updated web server or search engine. So there's no need to worry about that. Back to our point. Uh, the Flexbox is primarily used for one-dimensional layouts, either rows or columns, as you can see right here. Row, 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 column, 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 column. And where here you can see it's more diverse. And they're both great for arranging items in a single line or stack. And we're talking about Flexbox here. It's only great for arranging items in a single line or stack. It's like navigating a bar or a list of cards or buttons in a row. But the CSS grid is ahead because it allows you to place items in a specific grid or cells or across multiple cells, so you can precisely position elements anywhere on the grid. You can even skip cells or have items overlap each other. Flexbox organizes items in a sequence. Each item flows in order within a row or column, so it's more limited when it comes to placing items at specific positions. CSS Grid is ideal for whole page layout or sections of a page that requires more complex structures. For example, a portfolio page with items in a neat grid. Like we said, W3 schools use it, so you know it's good when W3 schools use it. A Flexbox, on the other hand, is perfect for a simpler, more linear uh, um, uh, page so right here you can see this is Flexbox. They don't overlap. There's nothing too hard. It's all just neatly and simply done. And when you need things in a line or stack that disturb the nicely across and available space, for example, a toolbar, navigation menu, or a footer link, you use it.